Hold on. Dang it. There we go. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to my Sunday live stream where we talk about photography and I do the best I can to answer the questions you might have and also see what's new and see how everybody's doing. I really appreciate everyone being here, taking time out of the day to spend it with me. It's always the highlight of my day. Anyhow, oh, it's freezing. Hold on. There. How about now? Is that better? Hopefully. I don't know why it does that. But can you guys hear and see me okay? All right, good. Oh, Randy's still not seeing me all right? It's better. I don't know what's going on. I might have to cancel this service and just go back to doing it manually. This service is really good for doing I'm using Melon It's really good for when I have multiple guests on. But when I do my own thing by myself, I've been getting these glitches. Uh, but anyhow, anyway, it looks okay for the most part. My face is not too bright. It looks like my skin's a little blown out. I might need to drop the exposure just a tad. Um, let me do that. It bothers me when I got this shine on my face. Okay, just a little darker. I'm kind of a hermit anyway. I like things dark. All right, so let me see who's here. It looks like a lot of people. That's awesome. Scott Mumford, Randy, Marco, Tony B, Marcia, Thomas, John Utse, Annie Sperry, Dave Nelson, John Truman, Ed. Wow, that is great. Lots of good faces here. Plato, John Truman, and David Crooks. Always good to see you. And let me see if I can catch up on some of the comments here. Um, Yeah, it took me a while. Oh, David's here. God, I'm sorry I missed you this morning, David. David Tellett, that is, I should say. I brought the HDMI capture card and a HDMI cable you could use. I was just gonna give it to you, but I guess you had to take off a little early. But maybe this coming weekend I can give that to you. I was thinking because you'd asked me last week, can you use the EM10 Mark III as a webcam? Short answer is no, but there may be a workaround, but I I don't have one to try it myself. The problem is there's no clean HDMI out for the EM10 Mark III, meaning if you use it as a webcam, if it has HDMI out at all for the live view, then you're going to see icons and stuff. But I think you can work your way around that to some extent and still use it. So I wish I had an EM10 Mark III to try. I just don't. But anyway, I do have that. I have it in my camera bag, so next time I see you, I'll give that to you. It's just a little device, it doesn't take up any room. And wow, 56 degrees Fahrenheit there. Yeah, it's about the same here. It's warmed up actually. I think we're in the 60s now. But yesterday was rough. It was cold in the morning, and then the temperature doubled from like 32 degrees to 65 by afternoon. And today's just very wet. It was raining most of the morning. But oh gosh, I'm so tired. I've been going on so many photo walks. I posted seven vlogs, right? Maybe eight. But I've gone on three or four more photo walks on top of that I didn't vlog yet, including one I did this morning, which I just wasn't feeling it this morning because I forgot to bring my microphone. So if I do play, and so I didn't record as much as I normally would, like in a vlog, and then I was thinking I'm not gonna post this anyway, so I didn't record a lot of stuff. And then, on and off, I'd be like, oh, let me record this just in case. And then I'd like not record. I'm not going to post this. And then I'd record. It just when you forget something and you had technical difficulties, like forgetting your mic, um, it just messes you up, and I can't concentrate. And then on top of that, the photo club. This was a photo walk from the photo club today by David Crooks, and I couldn't. The challenge today was vines, and now I'm starting to think that no matter what the challenge is, it becomes hard when you know what it is. Like yesterday, when we had a meet yesterday, we had no challenge, and I was like, well, vines would have been awesome, right? And I was seeing vines everywhere. And then I go out today, and David says, yeah, the challenge today is vines. And I'm like, I don't see any vines, all these ratty vines, nothing interesting. But I got a few shots, David, of some vines. We'll see. I doubt I'll win the contest this week because David picks one winner from every photo walk, quote unquote winner. Just you have to pick somebody, right? But they're all really great pictures. The group is pretty solid. Group of photographers, and that's always fun. So, and we might be doing a collaboration later. Me and David and I should say. Maybe do a workshop or something. We might do a free workshop for beginning photographers because the photo walks are always free, less any parking fees due at the park, if any. But so if you want to go on a photo walk with David or me, and you're in the area, come on out. It'd be nice to meet you in person. But yeah, we might do a workshop and see how that goes. And then eventually the idea is if we do a good job, right? Um, charge some nominal fee later, but we'll see. I don't know. It's with the lockdowns and stuff still going on, it's going to be tricky. Uh, what else is going on? Let me see. Wow, bunch of things. Audio and video still not in sync. I don't know what to do. Um, Marco says audio's in sync. Yeah, sometimes if you stop the video, like hit pause and then play, sometimes it goes back into sync on your end. But there's nothing else I can do at this point on my end. Um, yeah, I can always dub over the if I don't have a microphone. But that's the thing is I didn't record enough content for video. Um, and I see a lot of photographers online on YouTube. They might just show a picture and then talk about it from their desk like I'm doing now, and then show another picture and talk about it from their desk. It's not really my style, right? When I do tutorials, that's what I do. But on my photo walks, I like to bring you guys right there. I want you to see through my eyes, through the camera when I'm there, right? Exactly what I'm looking at. And then I try to remember to think out loud as I'm taking the pictures. And I think it makes, I don't know, to me, that's a good experience, right? Like you're just walking along with me on a photo walk. Um, Sitting at a desk and talking about your pictures and maybe editing a little bit, it's more like a tutorial, right? It's not really come with me on a photo walk kind of thing. Even like, and I watched the other Simon Booth. I forget who recommended that to me last week. Simon Booth is pretty awesome. Um, and then Simon Baxter, right? Couple of woodland. Both of them are like mostly woodland type photographers, and they at least Simon Baxter comes to mind now that he'll take you with him out in the field, even though he's still just talking most of the time, right, about the scene and everything. So it's more of an educational type video, but at least you're in the field and you feel like you're there with them, right? Um, so I really enjoy Simon Baxter. I'm really enjoying Simon Booth now, and it's funny. I'm getting all these like recommendations now on my YouTube channel, right? When you pull up YouTube, you get all these pop, what to view next and stuff. And there's like a boatload of Olympus people out there, very small channels, like even smaller than mine, uh, out there talking about Olympus and using Olympus. So that's really encouraging. And there's a lot of Olympus users in our photography club here locally. So it boggles my mind that Olympus was struggling. It doesn't boggle my mind, but it's surprising that they couldn't weather through what's happening, or maybe they could have if they really wanted to, but I guess they'd rather break it off, into its own little division or company rather than hold on to it. Because ultimately corporations have to answer to their investors, and on a quarterly basis, right? You live and die by the quarter in a corporation. I think with an investment firm like JIP, they look at more long-term results. They're not worried about quarter to quarter to quarter. So that might have been a more amiable environment for how Olympus wants to continue, but we'll see. Time will tell. I got an email from my local camera company or camera store that the Olympus 100 to 400 is coming back in stock. It's still not a lens I'm seriously considering. It's like one of these. It'd be nice to have, but I'm not seriously considering it. Um, but that's good news that that's coming back in stock, and we're still waiting to find out what this wow camera is going to be. Right? Maybe a Pen F2. I hope. I doubt it, but we'll see. Um, and Dave says your walks are great. Thank you, Dave. And Rennie says, "Oh, you got the M5 III because the M10 went bad. Oh, that's too bad. The M5 will be for Astro and video. Um, I think your EM1X will be better for Astro. Uh, a good person to ask is Ben Chappell, I think, because in astrophotography, particularly for very long exposures where you're doing exposures for like an hour, the keeping the sensor cool is very important in astrophotography, keeping the noise down. And the EM1X has the cooling pipes and all of that, so I would imagine it's probably the better camera for long exposure type photography, astrophotography. But that said, the M5 will do a great job too, right? Uh, but maybe not as well as the M1X for long exposure photography. Because I know you got a tracker, Randy, and you're going to start doing long exposures. So if you want to keep your noise levels down from heat, being out where you live, it's hot, all the time. Probably you might want to, assuming the tracker you got can handle the weight of the M1X, because it looks like you got a little smaller one. It may be fine. I think you said it was 4 pounds, minus a 6 pound tracker. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. But the M5 III is a great camera. And System Nature says you posted some great photo. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna post up my straight out of camera images later today, and I'm gonna post. My Instagram account and my Flickr account normally have more images than I actually put in the vlog itself. Because in the vlog, I try to cherry pick the best I can, so that keeps the video short. Because if I vlogged every single image, it'd be like an hour-long video. So I sort of cherry pick the images that I want to vlog. And sometimes I forget to turn the camera on to record before I, talk about the picture. And I can't post a picture if I didn't really talk about it. I mean, sometimes I show one or two, but I can't do dozens of images that way. So you guys should definitely check out my Instagram and my Flickr account to see other images from that same photo walk. Someone had asked me to post, because in the photo walk I posted this morning, they asked me to post the color and the black and whites. So I'll probably do that on my Flickr account, not my Instagram. Because Instagram, you gotta cherry pick also, just so you don't have like just a lot of junk. Uh, but my Flickr page, I don't care. I'll post anything on that, picture of my shoes or stupid stuff. But just like my Instagram account, my Flickr account is primarily for educational purposes, right? So when you go to my Flickr, you can leave comments, and I'll do my best to respond if it's a question, about the image, what the settings were, or But the nice thing about Flickr is you see all of the EXIF data. You can see the EXIF data, even if I would, if I edited in Lightroom, you would see the EXIF data for that to some extent. And so the last several, I think all the vlogs except the last one, I did do some editing to the photos, but they weren't too far off from what was straight out of camera. But you just want a little extra bite in your pictures, right? Just that little extra pop. So I did edit most of the images from the vlogs I did this week, but the one I posted this morning, those were all straight out of camera, and they weren't bad, because and the PenF makes that easy, right? Because you can dial in all kinds of things in the PenF that you can't do in other camera, any other camera that I'm aware of. It's color saturation, and you have a myriad of color filters for your black and white, and then of course you can add vignette, and you can do most cameras do highlight shadow, but Olympus just makes it easy, right, to do those kinds of things. So if you're a JPEG shooter, I still recommend the PenF all the way. Um, if you're a JPEG shooter and you like to do things in camera, because some people, they don't care, they just take the raw image and post process, right, and that's fine. But the PenF is definitely made for people that want to be creative in the field, in the camera, when they're there. And that's how I prefer to work. I like to see it with my own eyes, then make adjustments in the camera, take another picture. So I take several pictures sometimes of the same scene when I'm experimenting with the color wheel and highlights and shadows. And Randy says, "Oh, you watched my PenF with the 17 awesome photos. Thanks. Yeah, though they were okay. Not bad for straight out of camera stuff, right?" The challenge tomorrow is one-eyed cat. That's funny. Um, we rarely see cats here where I live, like just walking around. Not like where Robin lives, where cats and dogs are just roaming the streets, free. But here, that's not the case, you know. And let's see. Soft Fun says also his audio is out of sync, but it did a refresh and it's fine. And that's all I did on my end. I refreshed my screen, and that stopped the thing. Oh, Steve Onions. I don't know how to pronounce his name exactly, but it's spelled onions, but there's an apostrophe, so it's probably onions, right? But anyhow, yeah, he has a great channel. I actually wanted to have him on as a guest, but he doesn't have any contact information. So if anybody can get in touch with him, let him know. I'd love to have him on as a guest on one of my streams. But he has a recent YouTube on why M43 is his preferred landscape hiking. Oh, okay. Yeah, he has a lot of great videos on his channel, so definitely check him out. And John Truman says, "Can you do a video on using OMD color filters, color for Yanks for black and white?" Oh, okay. I do have a video on that. One of my black and white videos. If that covers it pretty much. So just search my channel for black and white, and it'll come up. Well, you don't have to search. I'll search for you. Where's my thing? Uh, Here it is. No, no, stop it. On my channel, I'll tell you what episode number it is. Oh, how come it's not coming up? Well, no wonder you can't find it. I can't even find it. Uh, oh, here it is. Episode number 58. Wow, it's an oldie. So, John Truman, it's episode number 58 where I talk about using color filters in our OMD cameras. And wow, when did I publish that thing? That had to be 2017. But it still applies. You know, nothing's changed really. The PenF has more options, but it's not an OMD like you have. Oh my goodness, the narrowband channel is here. Uh, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Ben, sorry, Ben. I am so tired. You guys have no idea. I've done. I think it's in a week. I did 6 photo walks in a week, plus vlogged and posted 4 of them. So anyhow, Ben, I think Randy. You can tell Randy if the EM1X is better than the EM53 for astrophotography. Or Randy, you can ask the narrowband channel that. Um, but Ben has a YouTube channel called the Narrowband channel with just like his username here, and he does astrophotography with Olympus cameras and has tutorials and all kinds of educational content related to astrophotography. So definitely check that out. And I need to go up there again soon, and so we'll try and schedule something. I know you got some things going on now, Ben, that we may have to wait for. But as soon as you guys are ready, let me know. We'll schedule another weekend to come out and do some stuff, some astrophotography. And let's see. System That Sure is hoping for an EM1 Mark IV. Yeah. I'm going to try and use this service real quick. That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of photo walks. I was busy. All right, here's a question. Any comments on trying to photo swallows in flight so fast? Tried CAF and the bird tracking with the M1X. Thinks uh, that's your only chance. Forget about tracking. Just do CAF and use 5-point, right? And practice, man. You got to be that photographing swallows is 99% skill and 1% camera. If you got the skill to photograph a swallow, you could probably use a film camera and still get them in focus and sharp. uh, there's no amount of technology that's going to help you with photographing swallows because they're so small that if you zoom in to say 400 millimeters, you'll never find them because they'll be in and out of your field of view like this, right? So they're really hard to track with a zoom. And yeah, they're just fast. The best you can do really is find a pattern where you see them sort of sit down, where they might stop and land and get a picture of them that way. But a swallow in flight, that's reserved for the very best photographers with a high skill set, I think. Just my opinion, because I I can do birds in flight, the larger birds, blue herons, white cranes, maybe a seagull. But if they get smaller, turkey vultures are huge. But man, when they start to get smaller, your skill set, the skill set required exponentially goes up. But if you are going to do birds in flight, the CAF without tracking 5-point is the best way to do it with Olympus cameras. Okay, and oh, you like my Reebok jacket? I didn't realize that showed so well. This was a I mean, you guys know I'm very poor, right? Most photographers that make a living from photography. Um, so this shirt is Goodwill, but this jacket was somebody didn't claim it from Lost and Found. So after, 3 or 4 months, I got it. So this I didn't even pay for this jacket. It was a Lost and Found type find. Um, but anyhow, thank you. I try to dress appropriately for the stream at least, or anytime I go out. Every day is like Sunday's best, right? I always try to dress up and look appropriate. And I get complaints from some of my friends. Um, I look overdressed to go for a photo walk, and I'm like, well, I'm wearing jeans. What else can I do? I'm not going to go out looking like a bum. Any recommendations for a good L bracket? Let's see. Search, see if I can find it. Once I fell behind on the. Oh, yeah, Narrowband channel has a good point here about birds in flight is use Pro Capture, right? Um, yeah, Pro Capture is really good. That's true. I didn't even think about that. But still, the Pro Capture, the camera will do some of the work for you, right, with capturing the frame. So you don't have to have a lightning fast trigger finger, but tracking is still the hardest part. But anyway, Serge was asking about a bracket, an L bracket for an EM. Where did it go? An L bracket for the EM1 Mark II. I I can show you the one that I got. I don't have, well, I can't show it to you. Where's here? Let's see if I can fire this thing up. I got my multicam set up. Uh, why is that not? How come it's black? Am I in manual mode or something? I'm an aperture priority. Why is there no lens cap? That's really odd. All right, forget it. I'll just show you on Amazon because I ordered it off Amazon. Let's see. Amazon. Here's my orders. And just type in L bracket. So this is the one that I got. Oh, now I got to find the right button to push. Hold on. Would be this one. Yeah. My last purchase is June 2020. This is the one that I got. Currently unavailable. Well, it's still available, just under a different brand. Here's one. This is the same thing. So this L bracket has works well, but you have to do a couple of things. Let me show you something here. So you see this cutout. This cutout allows you to flip the screen out at least, to the side so you can see it. And it doesn't give you full articulation, but it's better than most L brackets keep the live view screen locked in place. You can't flip it out, but with this one you can flip out this screen. The other thing I like about this L bracket is down here it has a standard Arca Swiss mount. So you can, if you have an Arca Swiss plate on your tripod, you can just mount this camera on directly. So the L bracket and the base are both Arca Swiss, standard Arca Swiss type mounts. And you can remove the L bracket via this little screw right here, right? And that's what I've done. I don't need the L bracket anymore because I just use an 8mm fisheye. So that's, you know, if I need to crop vertically, I can because I got a fisheye lens. But anyhow, so these are all the pros of this particular L bracket. The cons of this L bracket is, let's see, they don't show it. All right, let me see if I can show you. Let me go back. I can show you in the screen here. Okay, so I have this L bracket mounted on my EM1 Mark III, and this fits both EM1 Mark II and III. So I removed the L bracket here because I don't really need it, and plus, well, anyway, I just don't need it, so I took it off. But the problem is, if you look at the bottom of this L bracket, there's no 1/4-20 screw for you to mount anything else. Now, that's not a problem probably 9 times out of 10 for most, you know, for most people. But I found that I miss having the 1/4-20 screw on the bottom of this plate. You know, like this plate has a 1/4-20 screw on the bottom right here, or right here, right? This one does not. So that's one con. A minor one, may or may not be a deal breaker. It's not a deal breaker for me, but I do miss it. The other problem with this L bracket is you mount it here with this one screw, right? Which all L brackets, that's how they work. You got one screw to mount. But I found that there's a little bit of play or wiggle in the L bracket. So when I put this on the mount, the camera's not solid. It's not fixed in place, which was really a problem for me in my real estate photography because I'm bracketing shots and I have to merge them back and align them back together. So what I did was I got some double-sided tape, not the skin thin Scotch tape, but you know, a little bit thicker double-sided tape. And I put it in between the camera at the different mounts. And then I screwed this on. Then I screwed the plate on, and now it's rock solid and I don't have any problems. So so with those slight modifications, this is fine. And it's only 35 bucks. You have to wait like a month to get it from China. But with that slight modification with the double-sided tape, it's perfectly fine and solid. I used it for astrophotography, which requires, you know, a lot of precision, right? And I didn't have any problems with it. So that's what I use. The other route to go is, you know, you can buy these universal brackets like I did for my S5. Well, actually, I bought this for my Nikon. I just use it on my S5 now. These work just fine too, right? So you can go this way as well. But you know, if you buy one that's fitted for your camera, you know, it allows you to access the battery easily, right, without taking the plate off every time. And it adds a little bit of an extension here to the bottom of the grip, so when you grab it, a lot of times, you know, a lot of people have their pinkies slide off because it's not deep enough for them. But this makes a big difference. For people that have larger hands, your pinky's not going to slide off. So anyhow, there you go, Serge. That's my recommendation, and I'm going to put a link here. I know you can't use this link, Serge, but I'll put a link here for everyone else. It's my affiliate link for the grip L bracket for EM1-2. All right. Okay, so there's probably 20 chat messages since I answered that question. Let me try and catch up here. Marco, hi, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you. And System Mature says, I'm using an Olympus red dot sight with swallows. Got a couple of reasonable shots in flight. Yeah, the red dot sight, if you know how to use that, like you have to train your eye to see the red dot and build that muscle memory, right? Where your eye and your body follows that red dot. But that's another way. But again, because what the red dot helps you with is when you got a 300, 400 millimeter lens, your field of view is like this, right? I mean, it's really small. So the red dot sight lets you um, just follow the swallow without looking through the EVF. So you can follow the swallow looking at the red dot. And the red dot ideally lines up perfectly with the focus point in the camera. And then all you have to do is get the red dot on the swallow, and with Pro Capture you can get a shot. But I would still argue it still takes a lot of skill to follow a small bird that's that fast. So Randy says he knows the X will be better, just need a better tracker. So yeah, you just need a more hefty tracker. So yeah, the M5 Mark III will take great images, and then if you really exhaust the capabilities of the M5 Mark III, it may be worth getting a better tracker so you can start using your EM1X. Because once you've exhausted the M5 Mark III, you're probably an expert astrophotographer at that point. And getting a new tracker would be worth the investment, right? And they're not terribly expensive. Mine was like 300 bucks plus some accessories. It was about 350, 350. I forget exactly. And mine is a 6-pound tracker, but and let's see, Darko, Ed. Hey, Ed, how are you? Ed said he just found out what SOOC means. SOOC is straight out of camera. I have to use that in the videos because there just isn't room for me to type the whole thing out. And it's understandable that people don't know what SOOC means because a lot of photographers don't shoot straight out of camera and post it online, right? So a lot of you may not see that term very often, SOOC. But that's what that means. And Marsh said, I'm going to Fort Lauderdale Air Show. Oh, nice. Hold on. How come it doesn't show here? I got 2 chat windows. But Marcia says she's going to the Fort Lauderdale Air Show on the beach in 2 weeks. First time the air show with Olympus. Nice. You have the 14 to 150. The Teleconverter works with the 14 to 150? Suggestions for capturing the warbirds. I don't know. I've never shot warbirds, but I can't imagine it'd be much different than shooting birds in flight. You have to have a pretty fast shutter speed, not as fast as, say, for a swallow. Like a swallow, you probably need like 1/5000th of a second, if you want to freeze their wings. But you can probably get away with 1/800th, 1/1000th of a second. And I'm totally guessing here, but this is what I would do if I was in the field about to take pictures, right? So you're going to be at a 300 millimeter equivalent plus another 0.4. What is the math there? I could use a mouse. All right. So 300 times 1.4. So you're at a 420 millimeter equivalent. So your shutter speed, at a minimum, if you're taking pictures of stills, like still life, you have to be at like 1/800th of a second. So I would say for a plane moving, you might want to be at probably at least 1/1000th, but preferably 1/2000th of a second for shutter speed. Number two is your image stabilization settings, right? You have you have like four settings, but one is like full auto, one is all direction, and then you have a horizontal and vertical uh, image stabilization. So if the plane is flying horizontally, you want to use the horizontal image stabilization. And if it's flying towards you or it's flying over you and you have to pan this way, you want to set your image stabilization to a vertical orientation. And it's in the menu, right? Uh, what stabilization you would be using. I would show you, but this is just, I don't know if it'll show up here. Let's see. Because, when it's hooked up to the HDMI, some of it blanks out. Oh, it's the super control panel's easier. Hold on. So there's SIS. Okay, so SIS1, right now it's on auto. Yeah, so this is all direction. You generally don't want to use that. There's vertical, so if it's flying vertically or over your head, you want this one. Horizontally, you want to use this one for panning type shots. And then auto. So if you're not sure, just put it on auto or turn it off altogether because your shutter speed's so fast anyway that image stabilization is kind of a moot point for very high shutter speeds. So I'd almost argue you could turn image stabilization off, but if you're getting motion blur and you need to turn it on, you want to select the correct one. So that's what I would do if I was in the field. If someone else has better experience, please comment or say something to Marsha uh, with better advice than I give, because that's, again, it's not something I do, but that if I had to think it through, that's what I would do. And then probably use Pro Capture on top of that, right? Just like you would for birds in flight. But you want to use Pro Capture low so you have the continuous autofocus still working. Because if you use Pro Capture high, it's going to lock focus once and then fire off the images, whereas Pro Capture low will continually try to focus while you're shooting. And HKM says, I bracket, I'm using the Mengs MPU 100. All right, let me look that up. This may be another bracket you can try, Serge. Oh, come on. Let me try this window. Oh, yeah, it's a universal bracket. So, where's my... That's not the right one. Yeah, this one. So it looks like a universal bracket. Very similar to the one I have on my Panasonic S5. Yeah, that looks like a good bracket. And if you look very closely, right, there's little rubber feet on top of the bracket. So I guess I could have put rubber feet inside the bracket that I purchased, but I just used double-sided tape instead. But using rubber feet on the bracket also helps secure it so it stays stable. I tell you, I keep pushing the wrong button. I want the chat window to be over here. Which button is that? I have no idea. It says number one. Number one ain't doing it. I'm gonna have to go back and edit my hotkeys because somehow they're not working today. Um, okay, thank you, HKM. Good advice. Oh, Darko, you got the M5 Mark II and you love the bird setting I prescribed. Yeah, good. I'm glad those worked for you. I mean, it's the best you can do, right? With a camera like that. If it's not like the M1 Mark III or EM1X or something. But it works. But again, bird photography, the skill set is more important than the camera, generally speaking. Where are we? So that was the air show. Rob's doing Astro. Yes, Tony. I try. You need more power, Captain. Three-legged Ellie system is a good L bracket for. Gosh, that's another one I haven't heard of. Let's look that up. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna. All right. Oh wait, let me answer Ben's question about a pin. Um, no, it does not have the pin in the L bracket that I recommended, which is why it wiggles. I forgot to mention that a legitimate L bracket that would work with the M1 Mark II and 3 would have a little metal pin stick out of the L bracket that locks it into place, and you wouldn't have to use those double-sided tape like I do. Uh, okay, and then okay, Surge says I will check the three-legged thing. So what is that? Let's share that with everybody while we're here. Oh, three. What's it called? Three-legged thing, Ellie. Okay, it's just another universal bracket, right? Just a fancy pants one. $70. But you know, if you want quality L bracket, you got to pay some money. But that seems a little high. But you know, this is nice, right? It has a nice powder coated coloring and looks like good solid rubber feet. It looks well made. But that wow, that's pricey. If I was really into using an L bracket, I don't mind spending a little more money for quality parts, but I'm not. It's like my, you know, I got plastic extension tubes. I got cheap Chinese made brackets and things. uh, it's good enough for me. I feel like once you really have to once you really realize how important certain accessories are in your photography, that's when you spend the big bucks and get the high quality stuff. At least that's how I work. 'Cause I can drop $20, $30 on some cheap thing, use that, and then if I end up using it a lot, then I will spend the money to get the expensive one or quality one because I'll have a better idea of what I'm looking for too in terms of whatever that accessory is. Because the other train of thought is buy quality once and you'll save money in the long run, right? So you could buy this three-legged thing and you'll never have to buy another L bracket like I would. Um, so however your brain or whatever you're comfortable with doing, for me, if I bought high quality parts or accessories every time I bought something, I would be so in debt right now. Um, so I buy something cheap that will get the job done until I feel like I need it professionally or for some, I need a higher quality type of part than the one that I have. That's just how I do it. But like I said, I don't want to discount people that have the other philosophy, buy quality once and it saves you money, right, in the long run, because that's certainly valid. But if it were me, Mr. Gas Hog, gas problem guy, you know, I would have so much stuff that's so expensive that I never use. Okay, thank you, Soft Fun, for sharing that. And Darko says, have you ever gone into impressionist styled editing in your photography imaging, veering towards looking like paintings? No. I mean, I've done it once or twice here and there, but not not on a regular basis where like once or twice a month I will make an effort to do that. I've never made a serious effort to do that. I've done I'll show you one I did. I had a phase where I went out for a couple of weeks and tried it. Let's see. I mean, where's I'm just on my Flickr page. What are we talking about? Oh, artsy fartsy stuff. Okay, hold on. So, you know, this is like just soft focus art filter, right? That looks kind of painterly, doesn't it? Can I enlarge that? I mean, that's a pretty nice image. So that's one place where I tried it. And then I tried, let's see, where is it? I got one actually I really like, but where is it? Oh, here we are. I only got two photos. I got better ones than this. Well, I'll show you this one. This one here is sort of a multiple exposure type photo, and then you blend them back together, and you get sort of a painterly look to it, doing it that way. Uh, I think, yeah, I did it for this one. This is like probably this is actually a single photo that I shifted a little bit left and right and blended them back together to get the same effect. And this is another one where I took multiple images of this building from different angles, then blended them back together. I might go back and do this again. I kind of enjoyed this. Um, I forget the name of the viewer that turned me on to this type of photography, but it's very there's people that are really experts in this particular type of photography and have amazing work. Um, but there's two. Let me just look one more page. I thought I had more than that. Oh yeah, here's another one. Right, here's one I did. Uh, that's kind of painterly, but this is a single image that I shifted left and right and stuff, and then blended them back together. That's just a black and white version. This image here is not a single image. This is multiple images that I took and then blended them back together. Multiple images from different angles. Here's another one. Oh, there's Ellie. So yes, I have tried it. I had my I had a very small window where I was trying things like that. And System Mature says, I have the Panasonic Leica. Oh no, this is for I'm sorry. That's to John. I thought I saw John Truman had a question. Here it is. John Truman says, having watched your 17mm f1.8 video, I'm wondering if I need this lens. I have the 14 to 42 easy and 25 1.8. Mostly shoot black and white street photography. Your video got me thinking, yeah, no, you don't need it. I mean, I thought about um, taking this is my 14 to 150, zooming it out to the focal length I want to play with, right? And then putting some gaffer's tape, around the zoom ring and going out that way. Because, I want to do that for the exact reason I'm getting this kind of question from like you, John. Is, I show off the 50, the 75, the 45, whatever lens I'm going to go out, because I'm going to vlog with a different lens. Every time I vlog, I want to do something different, right? Um, People start seeing the images from that, and if they like them, they'll be like, oh, maybe I should get that lens, right? And you really don't need to. Uh, you can just use your kit lens. It can be this lens or the 14 to 42, and just practice at that focal length. If you need to force yourself, put some tape around it, right? So it locks you in anyway. But and just practice at the focal length. I was thinking about doing that uh, because I don't need the shallow depth of field that a very fast aperture would give you most of the time. It came in handy in a lot of the shots, and it has kind of that wow factor sometimes. But you can take amazing images with zero depth of field, right? Just have, or a very large depth of field where you don't have any blurry background. Everything's in focus or very close. So yeah, the short answer is no, you don't need a 17 millimeter f1.8 lens. You can just use your kit lens. Because if you look at the EXIF data, I posted the data. A lot of them weren't wide open. I was shooting at f2.8, f4, f5.6. I was all over the place with the aperture. Um, The only time having a faster aperture helps is if you do a lot of night photography, night street photography, then yeah, having a fast aperture helps a lot with your shutter speed and motion blur and all of that good stuff. But if you just want to kind of get used to the focal length and you're shooting during the day, just use your kit lens. It's the same thing pretty much. Okay. Uh, I use spacers with the MC14. Jeff, what? Really? That's an interesting. I didn't know the because they say the MC14 only works with certain lenses. I don't own any of those lenses, so I certainly don't own the MC14, but I might consider it if there's a workaround. That's interesting. What's this? I put the bracket more to the left side so the battery door keeps accessible. Yeah. Yeah, I do that on my S5. We're talking about these L brackets, so you can see that I can still open my battery door even with the L bracket on there. When you have just sort of a generic L bracket, you can do whatever you want and not really compromise the rigidity or the stability of the L bracket itself. Okay, and then what's Soft Fun say? Buy cheap, buy twice. Wait till there's a sale, or I would like to buy. Yeah. I mean, it depends what it is, right? I mean, no matter used or new, some things are very expensive, on sale or not. Like you could buy that Yongnuo lens for, what was it, $85? It's a 45 millimeter lens and be just fine. Or you can spend 250 on sale for the Olympus version or more for the Panasonic version. Um, but lenses are definitely something that I will spend the money on if I want a good lens. So, and I need it, right? So I need, and and the 75 millimeter is a great example where I'm just lying to you. I bought this lens because I just have gas. And you know, people rave about how sharp this lens is, and I think about the focal length, and I thought about sort of the blurry backgrounds I could get. So I bought this lens, and then I never used it because it just was too tight. It was the field of view is too narrow. Uh, so yeah, sometimes I buy crap just because I do. But if someone asks for my advice, like someone did today, my advice would be, buy quality for the things that you need to buy quality for because you're going to use it. So lenses, generally, I try to buy quality, but for accessories and stuff, until I know I really need the pro, expensive, well-made version, I'm going to buy the cheap one every time. Oh, Arthur's here. Hey, Arthur. I didn't see your post yet, but I do see someone talking to you. That's cool. Darko says, multiple image shift is so cool. Love the idea, and now you have inspired me to make one of my own. Yeah, it's cool. It is cool. Um, let's see. It says here, Steve Worthington says, hi, Rob. Please do a vlog on file extensions. DNG ORF. Very confusing to this novice. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just answer you right now. Uh, DNG is an Adobe raw file format. Okay. That they tried to get other camera manufacturers to adapt so that um, everybody would use it. So Adobe wouldn't have to keep creating compatible. Because you know how it is, right? Adobe says, they release, Olympus releases a new camera, and Lightroom can't open the file because it's in a new camera. And so what Adobe did years ago, they said, we don't want to deal with constantly updating our software every time you come out with a new camera, right? So please use this DNG format. And I think theoretically it has the same quality as the manufacturer's raw file. Because the raw file, uh, like the .orf, is based off of, I believe, a TIFF format. And TIFF format is supposed to be virtually raw, uncompressed, no loss of data. And then they tacked on their own proprietary type settings, like, um, for example, highlight shadow, color filter, art filter, all these other settings that you do specific to Olympus gets put into the raw file, the .orf file. Whereas the DNG file would not be able to accommodate all of that extra data. Right? A DNG file is just going to have exposure information, maybe some other type of metadata, copyright, location, GPS data maybe. I mean, DNG is pretty comprehensive set of metadata, but no manufacturer is using it really other than Pentax that I know of. There may be others, but anyway, Pentax adopted it, but nobody else did. You still have .nef, .orf, .cr1, CR2. So that's really the difference, is that DNG is just sort of a standard raw format that Adobe wanted everybody to use, so they didn't have to keep updating the frickin' software. That's what I think. But nobody adopted it, so that's, long story short, that's it. That's about as much as I know about it even. Okay. Uh Again, if somebody knows more than that, feel free to chime in. Yeah, this is a good question. What is a spacer? I would imagine it's just like a washer that you put between your camera and the lens. Um, so if you think about the MC adapter, let's say this is a lens you want to put the MC adapter on, and this is the the MC, because the MC14 has a protrude. Well, let me just show you. If you look at the MC14, right, you see how this part sticks up and out, and then so when you mount that onto the lens, oh, I gotta get my hotkeys straight. And if you look at this lens, for example, if you try to mount that MC14 onto this lens, that protrusion is going to break the rear element. It's not going to go in because the rear element on this lens is flush with the back of the mount. Versus if you look at a zoom lens, typically, you know, I can stick my finger in here, right? And that's where the MC14 fits in. But this lens, I wouldn't be able to do that. So to be able to put an MC14 onto this lens, you have to put washers in between or spacers in between to push the MC14 back a little bit. So my guess would be is you could probably get a 10 millimeter extension tube, put this on here, then put the MC14. I'm just guessing. I don't know. But now I got a fingerprint on here. Well, anyway, that's the idea of the spacer, I believe. Or the reason for a spacer is because of the way that thing protrudes out and would hit the rear element. But I've never seen spacers other than an extension tube. And extension tubes are basically spacers, right? And what's this say? Thomas says, as an impressionist painterly, I accidentally set the ISO way too high and got a grainy pic of local park in autumn fog. 4-year-old image and still one of my favorite. Yeah. Yeah, when I did my one of my videos, the most important thing in photography is the title of that video. I intentionally set my ISO to 25,600 because I wanted that grainy look. And that's one of my favorite videos. I was telling David Crooks this morning, he hasn't even seen that video yet. The most important thing in photography, I think, is probably my best video of all of it. 300 videos I've done is probably my best video. And I'd say that it's the best video on YouTube, period. So if you haven't seen that video, the most important thing in photography, I highly recommend you see it. I'll give you the episode number. Yeah, episode. Oh, it doesn't even have an episode number. Episode number 154, but it's not in the title. But just search my channel for the most important thing. Oh, it's up to 5,000 views now. This should have 5 million views, this video. But hey, you know, what are you gonna do? Okay. What is John Truman says? Don't spend good money unless you really need it. Anti-gas is so refreshing. Okay, good. I'm glad. That was in reference to the 17 millimeter. And Arthur, oh my God, it's Arthur Leyenberger. How you doing, man? I just saw your video. Arthur has a YouTube channel for watches. I was gonna leave a comment on your video, but I just saw your video on the Sarbo 33 Seiko. And I bought that back when it was like 300 bucks, you know, and it's still minty. But you're telling me people are asking $2,000 for that watch now? I gotta show it to you too. I'm glad are you still here? I'm glad you're here. Hold on. All right. I gotta get this working. This is not right. Yeah, it's working. All right. So anyhow, Arthur, this is where's hold on. Let me go to window here. Dang it. I'm still here. Okay. I wanted to show you my new watch strap that I got for it. This is the Seiko Sarvo 33. I got this red strap. I think it looks really good on here. You know, red NATO strap. Uh, just makes it a little more casual. Like you were saying in your video, it's a little bit. It's not a super dress watch, right? It's more of a kind of a casual sports watch. So I kind of went with this strap, and yeah, this is a great watch. I can't believe people want $2,000 for this thing now. It's just shocking. I got a case for all my watches now. These are all my junk watches. This is really the only nice watch I have is my Sarb. And this is a fake Chinese imitation of a I forget the brand. But I love this style. Very easy to read. I love my Casio. This Casio is awesome. I know we're a camera channel, but I got to talk about my watches. And then I have my two Timexes here. Actually, all three. These are my three Timexes here. This is a Star Trek Timex watch. This is Timex Expedition, and I got this red. I got this beautiful orange NATO strap for it, so it matches the second hand on here. So yeah, this is great. And let me get rid of these icons. Anyway, Arthur's here. Arthur's in the house, and he has a great channel on watches. If you're into watches, and I know a lot of people, a lot of my viewers here are into watches. So definitely go check out Arthur Leyenberger's channel. You know, and if you like his stuff, subscribe. Obviously, I'll show you the worst watch I own that I thought was great. Is this one? Um, Let me see if I can get closer. This is a Timex Ironman. I thought this was so cool when I bought it, but I was a much younger man, and I could read everything on here. Um, now, oh, come on. There. Now when I look at that watch, it's just blurry. I can't read anything on it. Ah, but good to see you, Arthur. That was a great video. I was really happy. It doesn't look like we're using your EM10 Mark II for that, because I know you were experimenting of using your EM10 Mark II to do your videos, but the quality wasn't that great. So I kind of question if you were just using your iPhone again for the video. And oh, that's cool, Darko. I'm the best kept secret on the web. Hopefully not for long, right? And eBay is nuts. Oh, really? Yeah, so it's on eBay. I'm curious. I'm sorry. We need to take a break from photography and look at this watch on eBay. So Seiko SAR 033. Okay, that's bid. That's best offer for a used one. This is used. So used ones are going for less than 1,000, clearly. Here's a brand new one, $1,600. Yeah, $2,100. Holy crap. But this one's coming directly from Japan, so it's one of those Japanese market only watches, maybe. JMDs. What do they call it? JMO, whatever. Used ones, it looks like I can probably get, here's one from the UK, but yeah. Let me tell you something. Any idiot that pays $2,000 for this watch, they got more money than brains. I mean, it's a nice watch, but it ain't $2,000. I'll go get me a Rolex Oyster for 2,000 bucks used before I pay brand new for 2,000. Well, anyway, Arthur knows what I'm talking about. I don't know if the rest of you guys are into watches. I know a lot of you guys are into watches too, though, which is cool. I was watching what's his name? Roberto. I haven't seen Roberto here today on his YouTube channel. He shoots Olympus and does photo walks and stuff too. D Donato, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. But he was wearing a Seiko 5, which is I forget which model it is. One of the newer Seiko 5s is nice. Um, and he had a NATO strap, so he's in the watches just like me. Yeah, I almost bought the same watch and same NATO strap. And today, uh, I am wearing my Seiko 5, but this is a vintage one from the 70s. I think 1977 is the manufacture date on it. Uh, let me. Yeah, this is a clear shot. I loved it. This was my dad's watch. It's really in great shape. And I put this blue NATO strap on it. Um, classic though. Classic watch. Um, okay. So let me see. Let me go back to the chat window. I always lose my place in the chat. Um, Tony B says, "Do we have time for this?" I don't know. Watches make great macro targets. Yes, good watches do, right? Because they have like that Sarbo 33 has a lot of fine detail for macro photography. Um, really, you don't want to zoom in on a cheap Chinese watch like some of the ones I have in my box there, because then you'll like hate that watch. Be like, man, this watch is really crap. But when you do macro on like a really fine watch like a SAR or Grand Seiko, man, do you have a Grand Seiko, Arthur? I'm so envious. I would love to have a Grand Seiko. But anyhow, um, Narrowband Channel says you won't wear a smartwatch. uh, way too many things online bugging me for my attention. Ain't that true? I have a smartwatch. I got it for free. It's a Samsung smartwatch, and I rarely wear it. I much rather wear like a mechanical watch. I love mechanical watches, and if I'm gonna get a digital watch like a quartz watch, I mean, aside from my collection that I have now, but going forward, I would get a Casio if I'm going to get a quartz watch. I think Casio makes the best quartz watches. Just like my my Casio that I have in there. I forget the model name, but I love that thing. And Billy Bob Barbell says, "What about printers? What do you have? What should I have? I have none at the moment." Okay, don't spend too much on printers, but the Epson line of printers, XP line, are very good. That's what I use, and I'm very, very happy with it. I'm not a printer expert, but let me just type in Epson XP. So the Epson XP Expression 6100. Yeah, these are great printers. I probably wouldn't get the cheapest one, the small ones. You want to get one just large enough that it easily handles different paper sizes. So you want it to be able to handle 4x5 and 8x10. If you want it to handle even larger than that, then yeah, you can see they get pretty expensive. But something like this would be awesome. 150 bucks. And 4.3 on the review. This is what I use. Now there are, let me go back to the main window. Oh, where did my screen go? There are obviously lots of different kinds of printers, but generally you want to get a printer that has good paper handling capabilities. This X and XP does. And then you want to make sure that there's two different ways to go with ink, right? One is they have like five tank cartridges, like yellow, cyan, magenta, black, and photo black. So a 5 cartridge system has a minimum 5 colors to get really amazing prints. Because they have 4 color systems, and I found I had trouble with some 4 color systems, and they're not designed for printing photos, right? In an accurate way. So at minimum 5 color system. And then you can get, and then when it comes to ink, they have there's some printers have the ink that come in tanks separately from the print head, meaning, it's more economical that way. That's one way to go. You can kind of make that decision. But the Epson XPs with a 5 color cartridge system has worked great for me and gives me amazing prints. The key is keeping your print heads clean. So you have to print at least once a week something. Even if it's just a Google search, just print that page once a week, and that'll keep your print heads clean forever. And that's what I've been doing with my XP. I have an XP 800 that I've had for probably 5 or 6 years now, and I just print once a week, every once in a while, and I have no problems. And I've gone to using generic ink, but I can tell you, I used generic ink one time, and the colors were way off. So if you want accurate prints all the time, make sure you buy genuine ink. Okay. I've gotten to the point where I don't care anymore that the colors are 100% accurate because I'm not selling my prints, but I just put them in my photo albums, you know, just just like this, right? And I print time to time, and I do a lot of black and white, so color is not quite as important. But there's some color prints that I did that and I just print 4x5s. So that's my advice. The other thing with the XP series is you can download specific color profiles for different kinds of papers that you might want to buy separately. So if you really get into printing and you want to buy special printing paper and all of that. You have to buy certain color. You have to get a color profile with that paper. You know, that's way beyond stuff that I do. But just know that if you want to get more into printing and buying special paper, you can do that with an XP printer. My advice is just buy Epson paper. That's what I do. You know, if you want the most accurate colors, you buy Epson paper and you buy Epson ink and you use the color profiles that come installed with the drivers of your printer. And that'll give you the most accurate colors. And if you're thinking about using a printer to sell prints and you want to make a living, or just not make a living necessarily, but you want to sell your prints and you want accurate stuff, I'm not the right person to ask, to be honest, for that. I can get you as far as I can get you accurate colors for personal use, but if you want to talk about accurate stuff for sale, like you want to get money for this and consistently print out 20 images signed that you're going to, you know, autograph, right, and sell, I'm not the right person to ask for that kind of advice. But for printers, that's my advice for printers. For just enthusiasts like myself that like to print your own images time to time, that's my advice. Okay, so this was the question from Billy Bob Barbell. So I hope that helps. So you can buy like a $150 printer, make sure it has a 5-color. And how do you know it's a five color toner system? Just look at the ink that it sells. Let's see, this one. Yeah, this looks like a 5-color system. Oh no, this is a 4-color. The ink is 4-color. So maybe Epson has changed since I last bought one. What is this? Interesting. Well, my printer is a 5-color. So that printer I just showed you is not a 5-color system. Shows how much I know. Things have changed. I know the hardcore photo printers have 5 colors at least, sometimes 6 or 7. I think I saw one with 8 cartridges. It's crazy. But that's the kind of thing where, you know, if you're doing that kind of printing, I'm not the right person to ask. Yeah, the Eco Tank. Yeah, see, all right. They still are using a 5-color system. Just the printer that I showed you is not. But you can see it right here. There's black, cyan, yellow, magenta, and photo black. But these tanks, these are separate tanks. You just buy the ink, you don't buy the cartridge. And supposedly this is more economical. So you can see there's 5 colors there. Okay, so that's enough about printers. Because now we're getting into just stuff I should not be talking about because I'm not qualified. All right. There we go. Serge says XP 970 or Canon Pixmas are very good. Print until A3. Yep. And Lena says, I have the M1X and think about buying the body cap 9mm f8, but some say it's stupid to put such a cheap lens on that camera. What do you think? I think you got to have fun with your camera. You know, I buy cheap lenses just for fun. I have a 15mm body cap just for fun. I was going to take that on a vlog this week, as a matter of fact. I have the 9mm body cap that I busted, but I had fun with it. you know, and put it on any camera you want. You know, EM1X, EM1 Mark III, Pen F. You know, I'm going to put it on my Pen F, but it's not stupid. When is, you know, fun in general is stupid. You know, if you think about it, right? Just having fun. What's the point of that? It's not productive at all. But, you know, we're human beings. We got to live and have fun and enjoy life. That's important to me. Is just having fun and enjoying life. And if you can do that for $99 with a body cap lens, why not? Um, you know, it just ignore the, what do you call, what's the nicest way I can put it? Just ignore those people. You know, it's all about what you want to do and have fun with what you have. And it's a very cheap way to uh, get a fisheye type lens. You could probably buy, like, spend about another $50 and get a more robust fisheye lens from a third party. Um, but you know, the body cap lens is fine. It's very sharp, actually. It does a good job. And yeah, that's my thought. I use cheap lenses all the time. One of my favorite cheap lenses is uh, is this 35 millimeter CCTV lens. The image quality is crap in terms of technical, right? If you think about it technically, but in terms of like having fun and the images that it produces, the swirly bokeh, the weird colors, all the little quirks, you know, like sometimes the focus doesn't work right. I mean, I paid $30 for this lens and I love this lens. I just have fun with it. And I actually own three of these lenses. One is broken because it's just cheap crap. It fell apart on me. But I have this one, and I bought another one for my Fuji camera, which I never use, but I bought one so I could use it on my Fuji. Uh, so yeah, that's my thoughts. Have fun with your gear. What's the point of having cameras if you're not going to have fun with it? I mean, that's what I think. So don't worry about it, Lena. Don't listen to them. They're just don't listen to those people. Is the nicest way I'll put it. Uh, Question about the, should you get the 7 to 14 or the 8 to 18? Okay, these are very different lenses, right? The 8 to 18, I think, is the Panasonic lens. Let me just double check. Because if not, then because the Olympus one is the 9 to 18. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it's a Panasonic, right? Um, I'm not familiar with this lens, but let me see what they say. It's an 8 to 18, 2.8 to 4. So it's a variable aperture versus the 7 to 14. There's two of them. There's a Panasonic one that is a f4, and then there's an Olympus one that is an f2.8. So I'm going to assume you're talking about the f2.8 from Olympus. If you're talking about the f4 from Panasonic, don't buy that lens. Um, it has flaring issues, purple flaring issues that are very hard to deal with. It's fine if you just, you know, on a budget, you can buy it and you just deal with it time to time. It's not a constant problem, but it comes up often enough that I wouldn't recommend that lens. Two, if you're talking about the 7 to 14 from Olympus, the 2.8, it's about $400 or $500 more than the Panasonic lens, right? I would I would probably I would probably still steer you towards the Olympus lens if you have an Olympus camera. Because again, there's sometimes there's things that don't work right when you put a Panasonic lens on an Olympus body. Like in-camera focus stacking is not going to work. Um, Pro capture may not work. I mean, I don't know. There's too many variables for me to remember them all correctly. But there are some incompatibility issues, and I would recommend the 7 to 14. But let's put that aside. Let's say uh, these minor incompatibilities are not deal breakers for you, right? Like you're never going to focus stack in camera, whatever, right? You don't care about that. You just want to go out and take pictures. Either lens will be fine for that. No problem. Because I use Panasonic lenses all the time. And they're fine for photography, general photography. It's just those little fine points sometimes get lost. But I would say the Panasonic 8 to 18 is fine if the variable aperture does not affect your photography. I know it affects people that do video work if they like to zoom in and out. Then that could be a problem because your exposure is going to change as you're zooming the lens in and out. But if you're doing photography, it doesn't matter. The camera does all the work for the exposure, and it doesn't matter if it's f2.8 or f4. That's only one stop. And I like the extra reach the 18 millimeter will give you. So I would prefer the Panasonic 8 to 18 and save $500 for photography only. That's what I would do if I was buying this lens. If the aperture is not an issue, if you don't need f2.8, an even better lens to get, and it's even cheaper than these lenses, is the Olympus 9 to 18 millimeter. It's an f4 to f5.6, so you're losing another stop of light. But it's super compact, lightweight. It's like 150 grams. It weighs nothing, and it's very small. It's like this. This is a lens I want for myself. I can't justify it because I have so many other lenses that cover that focal range. But this is the lens I should have bought personally the first time instead of the Panasonic 7 to 14 f4 that I have. This is my Panasonic 7 to 14. I should have bought the Olympus 9 to 18. And I would recommend, because you can get that lens for about $500, but it's an f4 to f5.6. I think that's a lens you should strongly consider over any of these lenses. But if you need the f2.8, the Panasonic is good. If you need the f2.8 across the zoom range, then you have to go Olympus. So those are all my thoughts and everything I can tell you about a lens that I don't own any of them, but I can tell you all the reasons that you might want to pick one over another, because it's the same decision process that I would go through for myself, right? For photography. If you're going to do any kind of video work and you're going to rely on autofocus, you have to go with Olympus on Olympus cameras. Pretty much. That's going to be the most reliable autofocus combination. And the constant f2.8 doesn't hurt either for video. But so hopefully that gives you some things to think about. Let's see. There's something about Flickr. Sorry, I'm having trouble reading all of these. Yeah, this goes back to when I was talking about printers. I've seen them with like 8 cartridges. Apparently it's 9. 9-color Epson P800. Yeah, that's high end though. I mean, it depends on your budget. If you got $1,000 for a printer, go for it. And Lena says, our system says, I just bought the Panasonic 8 to 18 lens. Excellent on both my G9 and EM1X. Okay. Thank you for your feedback. And good advice on printing ink paper. Yep. I think you're referring to printing once a week. Then your print heads won't get clogged. And just take a breather here while I go through. You can bring back dry ink redo with white vinegar. Oh, I have to try that. I've been trying ammonia. I got a printer that's really dry as chalk now, and it won't print at all. Uh, but I made some large prints with it. Anyway, I didn't think about white vinegar. Because what I did is I injected the ink cartridges with ammonia and then just started printing, hoping the ammonia would go through from the back of the cartridge to the front and clean it out, but that didn't work either. What's the difference between black and photo black? Um, I don't know. Apparently one is I honestly I don't know, but apparently there's some difference that they felt they needed to do it. Um, I can't answer that. All I know is that I have printed on 4-color type printers, and they didn't print as nice as my 5-color XP800 printer when I went to print. I don't know if the blacks are deeper or lighter or how it affects the contrast of the print, but having a photo black cartridge seemed to be the only difference between my two. I have 3 different Epson printers, and the only difference was my XP800 has 5 colors. So I'm just speaking from my user experience, not from any kind of technical, professional engineering point of view. Uh, okay, and I don't do Flickr groups. They're always kick me out. Why? And what's this? We should ask Rob for his view on a group first. I made the original suggestion. Looks like Rob. Yeah, I missed it. I'm sorry. At a certain point, the chat window doesn't let me scroll back. And if I get too far, I can't, I don't see it. So I don't know what you mean, a Rob Trek group. It might be fun. I don't know. It seems a little early for me to be getting my own Flickr group dedicated to Rob Trek. I mean, how many people are actually going to post? Because I have a forum and it's only got, it's been up over a year now and there's only a couple hundred members. So if you want to post pictures, you can post them on my forum. But Flickr is definitely a lot easier, right? And gives you a lot of access. I love Flickr. Um, but you can tag me on Flickr, I think the same as you can on Instagram. I don't know. I have to think about that. Starting a Flickr group. That I just have trouble keeping up with my forum, my Instagram, and my YouTube right now. Starting a group in Flickr, man, that would just add another layer. Um, I mean, I'm not against it. I just don't know if I'm going to have the time to do it. And Duty Flug says, I have an OMD M10 Mark II. I mostly shoot landscape and street photography. What are the best settings for this? I just feel like I'm not taking advantage of even 50% of this camera can give me. Okay. For landscape photography, it's pretty simple. F5.6, focus about 1/3 in distance into the frame. And depending on what lens you have, is your field of view. Use a tripod, turn off IBIS, and that's really about it. and then let the camera handle the shutter speed and shoot at ISO 200. So lock your ISO to ISO 200. Okay, shoot an aperture priority. Set your aperture at f5.6. Lock your ISO to ISO 200. Shoot in RAW file format and be on a tripod. Use turn off image stabilization. And then when you're focusing, you want to focus about 1/3 of the way distance into the frame. But what you're looking for is I keep forgetting the terminology, the infinity focus point. I think somebody please put in the chat section what that's called. There's a point that you focus in the frame where everything will be in focus from front to back, right? So it's not infinity focus. I don't know why I can't remember this term because I'm not a landscape guy really. But rule of thumb is 1/3 of the distance into the frame, and you should be good, right? Um, Beyond that, you get into kind of the nuances of landscape photography, where you want a faster shutter speed to freeze action, particularly if it's a windy day, or slower shutter speeds if you want to show motion, emotion, that kind of thing. And then the other thing was what? Street photography. Street photography, that it's you want to shoot. You want to have your image stabilization on. You want to be in auto ISO. Okay. Set the auto ISO maximum range between 200 and 25,600. And continuous autofocus, well, on the M10 Mark II, it's not that great. So single point autofocus is fine. And a single point, meaning you choose the point of focus that you want. Generally, street photography, just put it in the center because you're taking pictures of people randomly in street photography. And then I would say auto ISO I talked about, image stabilization on, and that's it really. The other thing some people like to do is just manually focus and set up focus zones. I mean that gets kind of more advanced type focusing for street photography. So starting out, I would just recommend single point autofocus. And when you shoot an aperture priority, I would shoot with your lens wide open. So set it to the lowest. So if you have the kit lens, that would be f3.5. If you have a prime lens, that would be typically be 1.8. So shoot it wide open so you get the maximum shutter speed possible. Because most of the time you want to freeze action if you can. And if it starts to get late at night, like in twilight, you don't want too much motion blur either, right? From the camera shaking, from your handshake. Because then you'll get blurry buildings, in the shot or blurry backgrounds, and not in a good way. So shoot wide open. That would be my recommendation for street. And then you can kind of get into more nuances with street photography. Some people do like to show motion blur, like people walking, but you want them to be blurry, but then you want the building to be tack sharp. You want to use a slow shutter speed on a tripod. Um, there's all kinds of nuances to street photography, but general street photography, the settings I just outlined should work. So a little bit different than landscape, not the same thing. Street and landscape, they're very different. And focal length doesn't matter. It's whatever you want to use. Generally for street photography, people like to shoot at 35 millimeter or 28 millimeter, which is, well, in micro four thirds, it would be like the 14 millimeter on micro four thirds or 17 millimeter. So between 14 and 17 millimeter for street photography. And landscapes, it can be anything you want. Some people like to shoot telephoto landscape, depending how far away the landscape is. Some people prefer shooting super wide angle, 9 millimeter. It just depends what kind of landscape it is. So I hope that helps. Okay, and I don't know. I don't know about the control rings on the panny. I have no idea. I always use autofocus on my Panasonic lenses, and this one I use autofocus only. My other Panasonic lens has no focus ring at all, and that's so yeah, I can't answer that one. And System says I just bought the Panasonic 8-18 lens after watching a lot of reviews. Well worth the money. Highly recommend it. Okay, good. Good to know. John follows. How are you? Peter Forsgard, panty lenses turn the opposite way to Ollie. Tamron Micro Four go the same. Okay. That sounds right. That sounds right. And Leon is here. How are you, Leon? And Robert Watcher. I believe one is for photo papers and the other is for matte paper. Two black inks. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with photo black, to be honest. And John says my XP 970 has 6 inks and blacks are different for types of paper. Best blacks are on super glossy paper. Okay. Thank you for that. Because it's beyond me. And John Truman says the suggestion is that we post pictures into a Flickr group that you also post into, and we give feedback on each other's shots. Oh, I see. Yeah. Maybe. I'll look into it. I'll look into starting a Flickr group uh, where we can do things like that. I thought about that a long time ago, but like I said, I have a hard time keeping up. Um, I'll give that some thought this week, and then by next week Sunday, hopefully I'll have a definitive answer, yes or no, or wait some more. I don't know, John, to be honest. And Walter, hey Walter, how are you? Walter's here. And Walter Rowe is also a professional photographer and has a YouTube channel here for people that want to edit using Capture One. So definitely check out Walter's channel for tutorials on Capture One. And he lives nearby me, so we go out sometimes. We had, I had dinner with Walter yesterday, as a matter of fact. And HCAM says I'm still using the old Canon Pixma 8750 6th color, and it's still printing very good. Okay, good. More colors the better, apparently, which kind of makes sense. Hyperfocal distance. Thank you. There's a hyperfocal distance that you need to learn about for landscape photography. Um, this goes back to Duty, I think, was asking about it. So thank you. Thank you. Hyperfocal distance. I don't know why I forget. I'm just senior moment. I just can't remember that stuff for some reason. Because I never do it myself personally. Yes, Scott, Thomas, everybody, thank you. Thank you. And System says, thanks for the details and info for shooting landscape photos. Very useful. I have the 8-18. Okay, no problem. I mean, that's standard landscape type technique, right? Um, I'm not sharing anything new or special, meaning specific to Olympus cameras. This is generic landscape photography tips, right? On wide angle, a third of the way into the frame works fine. Yes, wide angles generally have a very deep depth of field anyway. Um, you almost don't even need to focus with one if it's a super wide fisheye, for example. And Plato says street photography is an exhaustive term. It includes a lot of subjects. That's true. That's true. When I think of street photography, I think of shooting people randomly or scenes in a more urban type environment, right? Um, So those are the settings I recommended for that kind of street photography. Because people have argued, like I do street photography, but I'm just taking pictures of buildings, and people are arguing with me. That's not really street photography, that's architectural photography. So I'm like, yeah, that's valid. I guess I am doing architectural photography. But to me, when I think architectural photography, I think about a very technical approach, where you get your lines straight, your perspective straight, your dimensions, everything has to be accurate. So architectural photography is more about accuracy and representing the building in the most accurate way possible versus street photography. You're just taking pictures of buildings, right? But some people like to, you know, or I don't want to say like to do this, but some people consider architectural photography different than street photography, even if it's just casual architectural photography like I do. So, but yeah, street photography. There's nuances to every field of photography that you can get into, but obviously we can only talk about, or I can only talk about general things. I'm sort of a jack of all trades, master of none when it comes to most things. And regular landscape setups, Rob, you mean hyperfocal distance? Yes, it's probably 1/3 from the distance. Yeah. So we're not talking 1/3 of the way into the frame, right? Don't just shoot 1/3 up, but just estimate the distance of the scene and then focus 1/3 of the way into the scene, not 1/3 of the way into the frame, just to be clear. There's a difference. And David Crooks, I was shaking because of the coldness yesterday morning, and it's my excuse for the. Yeah. Dave, David Crooks and I, we go on photo walks every weekend because he has a photo club. Rainey says I shoot f/64 with an 8x10, so no need to hyperfocal. That's right. And my goodness, music sound gears here. 1/3 of the way into the frame is hyperfocal distance. Estimate. Yeah, it's just an estimate, rule of thumb. It really depends on the field of view of the lens and the aperture. There's all kinds of calculations that go into that, but rule of thumb is 1/3. And Lena says, "Oh, thanks, Rob, and the guys in the chat for the feedback. Greetings." Oh, okay, Lena, no problem. We all try here, right? It's a group effort. Everyone here is awesome in our chat section and the community. Master of none. That's right. Duty says, "Thank you so much. You're welcome. I'm glad that helped." And Rob Trek, I have seen 2 landscape YouTubers recently who just put their lens on infinity and hope for the best. Yeah. I mean, at some point, you just gotta have fun. You know what I mean? Like somebody else was talking about before. I forget who it was now. Why not? Just put it to infinity and see what happens. It's not like you just, you just can't take photography or life in general so seriously all the time. Um, is my feeling, my philosophy. It just, I would go crazy if I took everything so seriously and everything had to be so perfect all the time. I just want to get through in life and enjoy my time here. You know what I mean? Okay, let's not get too philosophical though. And Music says you've been knocking it out of the park on your photo walk videos. They're very informative. Oh, thank you, Music. I try. I have another one I vlogged today, but I don't know if it's going to make it onto YouTube because I forgot my microphone. So it really disrupted my workflow and my thought process. And the pictures kind of suck today. I can show you some. Um, here's some, these are ones I took today. This was on my way out. Whoops. This was on my way out. I was going home. I saw this red and blue Mini, parked next to each other. I thought that was kind of cool. And I did it in black and white. I thought the black and white looked good, but the definitely the color is the way to go with this image. There's a stupid tree. That didn't come out so great, but we'll see. These are all straight out of camera, by the way. The JPEGs on my Pen F. There's a couple people walking. There's a stream. There's a color stream. A landscape of the color stream. A vertical of the color stream. I was experimenting with different color profiles. I thought this was a cool shot. I don't know. I might have to edit some of these. There's some vines. I don't want to show these yet because those are going into the competition for the photo club. There's a pile of rocks. There's another tree. That's it. Anyhow, that's a preview for my next vlog, if I post it. I don't know if I will, to be honest. I wasn't too happy with the images or the video that I did. Getting philosophical got you blacklisted on YouTube. That's really, is your YouTube channel still up or not? Let me check out Randy's channel. Uh, where are my subscriptions? I saw your last video where you're driving around again. Yeah, looking for. No, you're still up. But I was watching this video. You're taking pictures of toilet bowls and things, right? But Randy has a channel here. It's just called Randy. I couldn't believe I had to stop watching when you took a picture of the toilet, though. You know, just some things I can't watch. I can't watch people taking a picture of the toilet. Other than that, I liked the video, but I didn't like that part. You're not able to comment on videos. Oh, wow. They banned you for your comments? That's something. I thought this was America. I thought we could talk about anything. Uh, Tips on how to deal with constipation. Sitting on the toilet right now. Yeah, let's not. That's a subject I don't like to talk about. It just grosses me out. He was asking something. Is Canon M50 going to be relevant in 2021? Is it a good long-term investment for the next 5 years or so? Or is there a better alternative for someone on a budget? Um, the only challenge with the Canon M series, the M50s, the M100s, is the M mount itself. There's not a lot of lens selection. So it's not that it won't be relevant. You know, it's a fine camera. It takes great pictures, but there's not a lot of lens choice. So if you want to grow your photography and you're on a budget, my recommendation would be the M10 Mark II with a kit lens to start, and then you can expand your photography as far as you want to go with that camera. There's no limits. It doesn't do 4K video, and it doesn't have a mic jack. You know, it doesn't have some of the things the M50 does. So if you're into video work as well, then probably a Panasonic like the GX85, I believe, has 4K. It's very inexpensive, has the same great lens lineup as Olympus. So if you're more into video, get a Panasonic Micro Four Thirds. If you're more into photography, I think the Olympus Uh, the Olympus EM10 Mark II is probably the best camera ever made on a budget. That would be my advice. And just avoid anything Canon M because of the lack of lens choices. Meaning, I don't know how the camera will stay relevant to you in a couple of years if you expand your photography and you don't have the lenses to choose, right? So all of a sudden, the camera's not relevant to you anymore because you can't get the lenses for it. So to me, cameras never become irrelevant in of themselves. It's, are they relevant to you, right? And I think the Canon, you would definitely be irrelevant to you if you expand your photography. If you're just a weekend shooter, you know, travel here and there, any camera will be fine, right? They'll never be irrelevant. They'll always be a good camera. But as if you really want to grow as a photographer, that's when you have to start looking at how is this camera going to be relevant to you in 4 or 5 years? Am I going to have the lens selection? Am I going to have accessory selection? Am I going to have the features uh, to take advantage of different types of situations you might run into in photography, like bracketing or, you know, uh, well, bracketing all comes to mind now, but there's a lot of things, features in the M10 Mark II, Olympus, and Panasonic. There's a lot of features in these cameras that will let you expand your photography and will always be relevant as long as you're a photographer. But yeah, so that's my opinion. Okay. Let's see. You're gonna do some hiking videos. Okay, awesome, Randy. I'd like to see your face and talking in a video. Right now, all I'm getting is our hood shots of your car. Um, isn't the hyperfocal distance setting on a lens? No, it's not. It's not. I got the, if it's a zoom lens, I got the focal lengths, but there's nothing else. If it's a prime lens, there's nothing on it. There's focal length, aperture, and then some logos. They do give me the minimum focusing distance, 2.76 feet to infinity, but that's it. Made in Japan. Oh, nice. Made in Japan lens. The 75 millimeter, made in Japan. How about this lens? I'm just going to grab a couple random ones. Nope. I mean, because these are autofocus lenses, so they just don't have any markings on them at all. So I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sure some other lenses do, but none of the ones I do have that. Even this one, I have no idea. This has more markings on it, but I don't know if any of these are hyperfocal. So there you have it. And systems heading out. All right, we'll see you later. Yeah, we used to be able to talk about anything, right, Randy? I don't know why that's changed. And Joe Manama says, I'm new to photography video. If I buy a camera, will it last me 5 to 7 years, or are cameras like phones where you have to replace them soon? No, they last forever. Well, let me rephrase that. I use cameras that are 10, 15 years old still, and they still take great pictures. But, you know, if you're starting out, you're brand new, the most important thing in photography is your skill set, not the gear. If you're a very skilled photographer, the gear will not matter. So if you want to be relevant in 5 to 7 years, this goes back to what I was saying before. Is the camera relevant to you? Are you relevant? This is more like, are you relevant? Are you going to be relevant in 5 to 7 years? Meaning, are you going to have a very high skill set in photography to where the gear won't matter? So, um, you know, that's why you don't see a lot of gear reviews on my channel, because it's not important. The important thing is, you know, to me, number one is enjoy photography, right? But Also developing your skill set and understanding the camera that you have. So I have Olympus, so I try to teach you everything I can about Olympus cameras so that you can develop your skill set. But ultimately, that's what's going to be relevant in 5 to 7 years is you. Are you going to be relevant and have a very high skill set? Not is the camera going to be relevant, you know? Um, you do want to buy a camera that does have a lot of features. So if you're asking from a perspective of, is this camera going to have everything I need to grow as a photographer? I can tell you that the Micro Four Thirds system, no question. The M10, the OMD cameras from Olympus, any of them really, will be relevant in 5 to 7 years to help you grow as a photographer. Um, Same thing with Panasonic. I'm not as familiar with Panasonic, but the two or three Panasonic cameras I own, they have everything you need, right? The GX85, the S5, and then I can't remember what the other one. The other one's probably a pocket camera, but the S5 and the GX85 that I have are going to be relevant to me for a long time, more than 5 to 7 years, because uh, they offer everything I need as a photographer. So that's the way to look at it. Don't look at it like, is this camera going to be relevant? You know, it's about, are you going to be able to develop your skill set so that you're relevant when it comes to being a photographer? Do you have a high skill set? And obviously, I'm not talking about you personally, right? Everybody is relevant. Everybody's important. So let me just get that out of the way. But I'm talking about as a photographer, can you still be relevant in 5 to 7 years? Not your gear. Your gear is really irrelevant. Okay. Yeah. Jeff says he's never seen the focal distance on the lens because it varies with the f-stop. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, the f-stop and the distance to uh well, I'm gonna stop talking. I don't use hyperfocal distance. I just focus 1/3 of the way in if I need to. Uh Tony says I became irrelevant years ago. I seriously doubt that, Tony. And thanks for all the I am. I don't know what that is. It's another acronym like SOOC. I don't know what that means. I am Barry. I'm sorry. Uh, there is an infinity mark. Yes, there's an infinity mark, but yeah, infinity is not infinity. Yeah, maybe that's what Walter's thinking of is the infinity mark. I have seen that sometimes on lenses. Let's see. And I thought I saw my name again. Oh, Joe Mon is saying thank you. Okay, you're welcome, Joe. I'm glad that helped. And like I said, anytime you come into the chat section, everybody here is very helpful. I mean, they have a lot more experience in photography than I do, so a lot of times they can answer questions in a more relevant way, if I want to continue that analogy. Plato says I was never relevant. Okay, let's see. Did that sound deep? What are you talking about, Randy? I wouldn't say it sounded deep, but it was definitely informative. And Ed says, and Ed would know, Ed's a very competent photographer as well. Um, Infinity is not relevant if you hyperfocal today. I think that's legitimate. And Jeff taught Walter something new. Dang, I got to see what that was. What does this say? That's because most lenses focus beyond infinity. Okay. All right, I'm going to skip that conversation because I use autofocus. Infinity focus is, even if I'm doing astrophotography, there's no such thing as infinity focus. You have to focus on the stars, even though they're impossibly far away. You still have to focus on them. And hi, Rob. Got to go now. Okay, Barry. We'll see you later. And Music says, I think on the old manual lenses, the hyperfocal distance was the color lines in relation to focusing ring. I think the color lines were the infrared focusing distances, not hyperfocal. The old, let me get a lens. If you look at, oh, I can't use this camera anymore. The battery's dead. How about if you look at an old lens, you see those different color lines? The center white line is for like normal focusing, but then there's like other lines on here. That's for like if you do infrared photography and other types of photography, because infrared light travels differently than visible light, so focusing on things is different. I mean, that is my understanding of that. I don't practice that obviously because we're all autofocus now, but if that's what you're referring to, the different colored lines, no, I think that has to do with doing, at least one of them I know is for infrared type focusing. Okay. What's a mobile phone? I still use a Stump tablet. Funny. What time is it? Oh my God. I need to wrap up here soon. Okay. Typing without glasses is awful. I mean, color lines in the old manual lenses for hyperfocal distance in relation to f-stop. Okay, maybe. I don't know. Again, I have no idea. These lenses were really before my time, and definitely well before. These lenses were before my time, but still beyond me in terms of skill set. Okay, I don't know how to use these lenses. So it's both old and new. Like if you buy an old vintage lens, you can learn so much about photography if you understand every frickin' marking on this lens. Then you're a genius in photography. Because look at how many different markings are on this lens. You could learn so much about photography just looking at an old vintage lens. So that lens still has stuff on it. I have no idea. And they are depth of field for different. Yeah, I do have that. I know this lens has sort of that depth of field type thing, right? Crap. I gotta stop talking about stuff I don't use or know anything about. I'm sorry. But I'm gonna start figuring that stuff out because I can't stand up here on a live stream and talk about stuff and not know what every line and every marking on a lens is for, right? Whether it's new or old. I should know everything, what every line, because obviously I know ring size, for the filter threads. I know what that is. I know the aperture. I know minimum focusing distance, but there's a lot of other things on this lens. I don't know what the heck they're for. Um, that'll be a good exercise for me this week. And then next week, you guys can try and stump me on something. But this week, yeah, I have no idea. Thomas says, I've been doing chores while watching, so if you answered my question earlier, I apologize. Is there a way to set the minimum shutter speed and aperture priority? No, there is not. Is there a minimum shutter speed and aperture priority on the M10? No, there's no way to do it. Let me just, yeah. There's no way to do it. The camera will pick a minimum shutter speed. It is different though. I will tell you this, Thomas. If you're shooting in silent shutter mode, the minimum shutter speed is slower than if you're shooting a mechanical shutter. I've only noticed that on the EM10 Mark II. I haven't noticed it on my other cameras because I'm not particularly looking for it. but I did notice it very distinctly on the EM10 Mark II that the shutter speed is slower, minimum shutter speed is slower in silent mode than it is a mechanical shutter. It's kind of a weird anomaly with that. That would make a great video. Weird anomalies about the EM10, right? Anyway, the answer is no, you can't do it. With that caveat, it is slower on silent shutter. Okay, Marsha's heading out. Thank you. Thanks for stopping in. Stump the Trek, a new game. Oh my God. And Thomas says, I do usually shoot in silent mode. Yeah, put it in mechanical shutter and you'll see that the minimum shutter speed goes up. I think in silent mode it's like 1/20th of a second, if I remember correctly. And in mechanical shutter, the minimum might be 1/40th or 1/60th. It's higher. I know that. I noticed it because I do a lot of street photography. And when I was using that camera a lot more, that's when I noticed the difference. DeMorgan is here. I haven't said hi yet to DeMorgan. How you doing? I saw your name referenced a few times, but I didn't see your actual post. I missed it somehow. But good to see you here. Okay, it's 4:30, so I'm gonna head out. Um, I'm just double checking the comments to see if I missed anything. I probably missed 100 things. I always find stuff I miss when I watch the streams again. But everybody had a great time today. Thanks for coming in and chatting with me, and thanks for helping a lot of the people that came in, supplementing or adding to anything I said. That's what makes this community great. And go over and show Jimmy Chang some love over at Red 35. Um, he's been doing a great job, and he said he's struggling a little bit. But so go over there and let him know if you haven't already that we're all here for him. So we're here for you, Jimmy. Anything you need, let us know. Um, and I think that's it. So look for some more photo walks this week on my channel. And I'm going to try and do a photo editing stream again this week. I'm not sure if I can do it Tuesday, but I will try and set one of those up as well. So you guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks again, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. And I still don't know where the stop button is. How about this one that says end stream? Let me try that. See you guys. That didn't do it. See? I'm still here.